And when it comes to branding, like, it doesn't happen overnight. I think they confuse branding and marketing too in general with just posting on social media.
A lot of people have that misunderstanding of a personal brand and a business brand.
Then they're just buying from a faceless company and people feel disconnected from that.
But we're not just completely fresh newbies to the thing. This is who we are. We're more authentic with it.
Sometimes the ego gets in the way and you're just like, this is the thing, it's gonna smash and I'm gonna be good.
You are the brand. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Monico and Erick. What's up, Eric?
Not much, man. I mean, we've been gone for a couple weeks, but with good reason. As many people have noticed, it's not called Tone Podcast anymore. It's now the Inceptions Podcast.
Yeah, we're doing some internal changes, some branding changes. I think it's all for the better, just to switch it up. I mean, when we barely started the projects, we're just like, we don't even know. We'll see where it goes, and we kind of just started off like that. Didn't really pay too much attention, I guess you could say, to the logos and branding and stuff like that. But
as you go into it, you learn new things. So like what we knew back then is different than what we know now. And as anybody in business should know, you learn new information. So you gotta evolve with the times and keep getting yourself better and keep improving.
Yeah, I mean, it should. I mean, a lot of people though we don't think about it that way. The other day I was talking with a client. We're talking about like how sometimes when we start making a little bit of money and stuff, we start feeling like we're good and we know everything and we stop evolving. And that, I think that, my personal opinion, I think that's what crushes a lot of businesses. They think they're too good, and then there's just going to be some new guy that comes in, takes that rug from underneath you, and just, it's going to hurt. Mm-hmm. If you're not ready for it, it's gonna hurt real good.
Yeah, and when it comes to branding, like, it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, we've been gone for like a couple weeks, but we've been kind of thinking about making some changes for a while now. And to actually get everything to the level where you can actually go and take it out to the public, it's going to take a while. So when people want to say, "Oh, I need to fix my brand and I want to rebrand," a lot of times they want it to happen overnight. Or the next day. It's not going to happen right away. It's going to take time, and it's going to take them investing their time into it to actually put it out there the right way.
What's the biggest misunderstanding you think business owners have, or just anybody, when it comes to branding? What's the biggest misunderstanding you think they have of it?
I think they confuse branding and marketing too in general with just posting on social media. Just because you're making consistent posts on social media doesn't mean that
your voice is cracking, Eric.
I know. It's been a while. I need to get the lube back in there. But they take as just posting on social media, posting on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever, as that's their brand, that's their marketing. And it's not, because it depends what you're posting and what intention you're putting behind the post. Like, are you posting just to post, or are you posting because you want to get a certain message out there? Do you want to give people certain tips or anything? Like, what's the purpose behind your posting, and what do you want people to know about you when they see you or your brand or your business or whatever? And a lot of people are like, "Oh no, I'm posting enough. I'm good." But no, if you're just posting up a bunch of random shit with like no end goal, then you don't have a brand. You're just posting on social media.
Yeah, and I think a big thing too about it, it's an ego. It's a strike right in the ego. But it's like our logos and everything. Like, even we have like a lot of our logos and all this stuff that we have. Your colors. It's more for an ego and a personal thing, because if you think about it, like, dude, your clients, consumers, they don't give a fuck about your logo, dude. Like, that's an ego thing.
Nobody cares about it.
I need to have it this. And I think that's where a lot of people have that misunderstanding of a personal brand and a business brand. They're just like, they just want to build up the big business brand, and then that's it. Like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to step away and just have the business brand go and boom. And it doesn't work like that. People buy from people they like, and people buy from people they know. First of all, if they don't know you, they're not going to even think of buying from you, because they don't know you. And then say they do know you, but then they don't like you, or they don't like your product, your service, like, they ain't going to buy from you either. So like, those are the first two things that you need. And it's like, if there's not a face to the business, there's not a face to the company, to whatever you do, like, that's a red flag, I think.
You might get some sales, but you're not going to have as strong as a following as you could if you did put your face out there, because people buy from people. Then they're just buying from a faceless company, and people feel disconnected from that.
Yeah, and it can get to a certain level, I guess, where you do start transitioning and doing other stuff, or introducing different people into the business, different people into the company, so that way people can see that. But I think right when you're starting off and you're trying to get it off, you got a new product, people are going to trust you. That's why they came. So they need to see you. If they don't see you, they don't trust you. If they don't trust you, how are they going to trust some guy that you just hired that they really don't know who it is, Mm-hmm. So that's
and that's like one of the big reasons what we decided to just kind of change everything too. It's like a lot of people came to us and they just like, oh yeah, you guys have a podcast and you can just do that. You guys just
we're YouTubers. Like, no, actually do us a solid and give us a subscribe on there. That'd help out. But yeah, we're not YouTubers. Our channel, our podcast is on YouTube. I don't know if that considers as a YouTube, but I think a YouTuber would like when you're kind of like just living off of that, and just doing that all the time. So yeah, we're definitely not YouTubers. Mm-hmm. So do us a solid to give us a sub on there. But yeah, like you were saying, sorry to cut you off, Rick. I just want to throw that in there.
No, it's good. It's like we have a business. That's our main thing. We just have the podcast as like a way to come and talk about problems we see out there in the world, and that's like kind of the value where that we want to bring other people.
And I think that's a big value that we bring to the table, I guess, too, in business. We work with a lot of different businesses in a lot of different areas, so we kind of know what's working and what's not working. Mm-hmm. So it's not like we're not just fresh newbies, I guess. We're always newbies to something if you're revolving and learning stuff, but we're not just completely fresh newbies to the thing. Like, we're doing this, okay, this has been working, this doesn't work. And even for us, like, we tested on our own stuff first, like, hey, yeah, this does work. No, that doesn't work. And so that's why I think what's been working the most, even for us and other businesses that we do work for, is the personal brand. Everyone's kind of afraid to put themselves out there, but that's why people came to you to begin with, because they were buying from you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're doing this to like just go like even harder on the personal brand. Like, if people see the podcast and they don't want to do business with us, that's cool. We probably didn't want to do business with them anyways in the first place. But then a lot of times we already like experienced this. People see the podcast, they like what we're saying, and they're like, "Oh shit, like that's pretty good stuff." Like, I can put my trust in them to be able to actually grow my business.
And the thing is, because I think so the podcast, we do it, it's more laid back. This is who we are. We're more authentic with it, and we cuss a little bit every now and then, but I think everybody kind of does. Like, you're being naive, there's certain areas to be able to do it more, not do it at all, Mm-hmm. Of course, keep it professional sometimes. But that's the thing with it, it's just like who we are. And I think after you're having a longer conversation with someone, you can kind of tell if they're full of it or not. You can kind of tell, like, if they're a business owner, if they're talking roofing company or whatever you have, this guy doesn't even know what type of, nails they would actually use for this. Like, does he really know? Mm-hmm. So you kind of start figuring stuff out if they're about it or not about it. Just don't just talk about it, be about it, Mm-hmm. So I think that's one of the biggest things that we bring to the table, that we kind of know, like, and people kind of know and experiment, like, and like listen to us if we're kind of full of it or not.
Yeah. I mean, we talk a lot about business, and that's because we have a business, but this is our first journey into the business realm. Like, we literally grew up around business. Like, our dad had a business for years, and like the stuff we talk about, stuff we experienced too, but then it's also stuff that we saw him do well, sometimes not well, in his business, and how like he got it to the level where it was.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. People that's one of the biggest things that I guess you could say objections or whatever that you would get. You're like, oh, you're younger. Like, what are you gonna know about business? You're 20 some years old. You're telling a guy that's like 40 years old, 50 years old, that's been in business for 20 years, how to run their business, how their leadership's all messed up, like, or how their marketing is all messed up. But the biggest thing that we do bring to them is like, we actually seen behind the scenes of small business 20 plus years. And this isn't our first business, A lot of people, business owners, especially, they're afraid to talk about their failures because people are going to look down on them. It's like, let me just break it to you. Your first business is not going to work. It's not going to work. More times than not. It's not going to work. So it's like,
we'd want it to work. You wanted to fucking hit home run every time, but it's just sometimes
that's why it doesn't work.
Sometimes the ego gets in the way, and you're just like, this is the thing. It's gonna smash, and I'm gonna be good.
That's why it doesn't work.
And the reason you don't want to like let it go, like you want to stick with this pretty much failure of an idea for so long, and it's like your ego gets in the way, and instead of like taking a step back, pivoting, analyzing shit, you just take it to heart, and you're like, no, that's my business is gonna work this way, and this is what's gonna do. This is what's gonna happen to make it go. But then it's just the ego gets in the fucking way.
Yeah, that ego's a crusher.
What other like could we talk about like people just that I've seen is like people just posting on social media and that's like their brand. Like what other like things have you seen that are like misconceptions or that people don't know about building your personal brand or building a brand in general?
I think one of the biggest thing that people don't really think of, like, you are the brand. It's like, I mean, you know, Alex Hormozy, he talks about instead of trying to look for a niche, be the niche. Don't, and it's like with the brand, like, you're like, oh, what kind of brand? Like, you are the brand. A lot of people are just like, oh, it's 5:00. Like, okay, yeah, I'm done. I'm out of work. Like, or I'm out of the business. Business hours are done. Like, I'm done. Like, no, you're always the brand. If you go to the grocery store and you're like, talk about like leadership and I'm always like fit and all this, and then they see you at McDonald's when you're not on social media or something, they're gonna be like, what you do? You talk about like not doing these stuff and then they see you. So it's like, you're always the brand. You're always how you talk, how you dress, how you speak. And that's another thing. If you can't break down in your business, a lot of people are like, oh, call me Monday. I'll throw you on, like, we'll throw you on the schedule. Like, no, it's Saturday. Like, just 30 seconds, dude. Like, what do you do? Like, if you can't come up with that fast, like, you need to learn more about your own business. There should be nobody else that knows about more about your business than you do. And that's the big thing with a lot of people that like, they don't know their business down to the, like, it should be like, you just woke up and you should know, like, they ask you something like with us marketing, like, hey, something about video cameras, and you just woke up, like, doesn't matter. You got to know it. And if you don't know it that well, you better start studying your shit better.
And I think that's like a big difference between someone who's like a founder, an entrepreneur who they started like their business, as opposed to like someone who they hired onto the business. Because if you don't have like your shit straight, if you don't establish like what kind of brand you want to have like from the top, and you start bringing in people under you and start working under you, then there's gonna be like a disconnect of like what you want the brand to represent, because they're not gonna have the same feelings or thoughts that you did when you were starting it off. So they don't know what you want to represent. They don't know what the brand is yet.
Or why should they believe in the dream though? It's not their dream. It's your dream. So it's like, your job is to sell them the dream. That's your job, So it's like, yeah, that's the big thing. Like, oh, I just hired him on. Yeah, I wonder, like, he'll be perfect. He'll be good on. It's like, no, stop paying him and then see what happens. And if you're actually committed like to it, like when you're the founder, the CEO, like, there might be times where you don't get paid that month or, whatever, for XYZ reason, because you got to take care of other stuff. You got to take care of your employees or other expenses you have. And that's the difference between an employee and that. And it's that company culture, those values, what people, I don't think they get. They get lost pretty fast if you don't establish them right. And if you don't,
Because a lot of times when people like think of branding, they're just like, oh, my branding is my logo. It's my colors. But no, your branding is everything.
No one cares about your colors.
That's a part of it. But like another part of branding is like how you treat people when they walk in or when they talk to you. What you wear. If you're always like in shorts and sandals, then people might not take you as serious. Or if that's what you like wear on the weekends or whatever, that's not what you always wear. Then there's like that disconnect of like who you actually are. It's also like what experience people have like when they interact with your business. Like everything that happens like in your business is a part of your brand, and it's a reflection of you and your brand. And it's like, if you don't have your brand set, like how you want it to be run, then people aren't gonna know what's going on. It's just gonna be like a lot of like random shit going on.
What's the most random shit that you've seen like on a brand, like say for a business? We don't have to throw names in there, but it's like, what's the most random shit like you've seen?
Most random shit. I don't know if it was like just random shit. I've seen a lot of like disconnect shit. Like, oh yeah, like we want to like be this type of company where we like help people out, and they're coming in because they want me to like kind of work one-on-one with them, but then I don't want to be like a face of the brand or like the face of the company anymore. Like they kind of want it.
They're checked out.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like they want to kind of just
They just want the money.
Yeah. They wanted to run without them, but the whole reason it started was because of them. And now they just want to like overnight just like step away, and it's like, well, that's not really how it works. You're the brand. People are coming in because of you. They're not. If you just check out, then guess what? People are gonna stop checking out, or they're gonna start checking out too. It's like you have to kind of pivot instead of just completely like stepping away.
Wow, that's good. No.
What have you seen?
I mean,
most random shit.
The most random shit.
I mean, obviously there's like, oh yeah, your logo's all fucked up. Your logo's blurry. Their main logo is like a fucking blurry ass picture of some random thing. It's not even like an actual custom logo and stuff like that.
I mean, off the top of my head, you kind of got me on a curveball. That's why I threw it at you. But I mean, I don't know. But like you said, there's a lot of disconnect with it. You know, say with the logo, the branding. The branding's the biggest things. Or say like the one of the biggest disconnects is like the founder, especially. They have like some vision for the goals, like. Okay, and then you just go ask like whatever they're in, the front desk person or someone else that works in there, and they tell you something completely different.
Our brand,
just like
our brand's
shit.
wearing a black shirt with our logo here, but then you go to the front desk and they're wearing a white shirt from fucking Target that has no branding on it. Then you're kind of like, what the fuck? Kind of like that disconnect.
Yeah, that disconnect, and it's like the founder, like you tell them something, they're like, oh yeah, this, and then you talk to one of the employees, and they're like, yeah, oh no, this, and it's like. Well, that's a problem. Like, we're trying to get to a destination. We both have two different maps. Like, that's not going to work as great. We'll see if we get there. If we get there, when we get there, you know. So that disconnect, I think, is huge, and I think it's really underestimated how, especially when you're trying to scale out a little bit more. I think that's where the biggest disconnect is at, right there.
And like we were talking like earlier, like. The branding you have like when you first start out, it's probably not gonna stay the same as like you continue to learn new stuff and grow. Like when we started, I was like different, obviously, and I was like kind of pivoted, and we're kind of trying to do this now. But when you first start out, sometimes you can't get held up on the little shit.
And then you're by paralysis.
Yeah, like I heard it from Alex Ramosi. It's like. You can be a perfectionist in certain things. Like when you're starting out, it's probably not a good idea to be a perfectionist because you need to get started. Because if you're always just trying to perfect every little thing, you're never going to get off the ground. Or when you eventually do, it's going to be a couple months or a couple years down the road when you missed out on that chance to actually learn those lessons, like why you're doing it. And then once you get to a certain level, once you get started, then you can kind of like visit rebranding or revisit other little shit, and then that's when you can maybe start being a little bit more perfect or try to chase perfection in certain things. But when you're like starting out, sometimes you just got to start out. Like it's gonna be pretty hard to have the perfect brand when you start out. So sometimes it's better to just, if you're starting out, start out, and then figure it out later.
The odd truth of the game is just getting started. So yeah, guys. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you guys like these tips, these nuggets that we're kind of throwing at you guys, it's from, actual real life stuff that's going out there in the marketplace that business owners are struggling with it, and they just don't want to say any. They just don't want to talk about it. So if you have some stuff going on like this, send us a message. We'll try to answer them on the next podcast.
If you have any questions, leave them down below in the comments. We'll try to get through them as much as we can, or try and just share what we know with you.
Yeah. So appreciate it, guys. We'll see you guys on the next one.